Here we go. So Parshas Yisro is Matan Torah, Kabbalah Torah. There is so much to talk about. In in a few minutes, I would like to learn a little short piece of Ar Chaim together. But before we get there, just a few small details to bring us to that point. I want to start with a short ha'ara that Klal Yisrael are called the Am Segula. The Am Segula. It comes from the pasuk, V'yisim li Segula. You should be for me a treasured people. What's a Segula? So Rashi says, a segula is a kli yakar va'avanim taives. It's a diamond. It's a diamond. Klal Yisrael is a diamond. End of Rashi. What does it mean that Klal Yisrael is a diamond? So the point I like to bring out is, how do you cut a diamond? How do you perfect a diamond with another diamond? Exactly. This is the fact that in a vacuum you'll never grow. You'll never grow, and this is one of the milos in learning the chabura, and being together of a group, of a shul, of a community. Why? Because we're all diamonds, but we need to be chiseled a little bit. We need to be every single person, from the smallest person in Klal Yisrael to the gedolim of Klal Yisrael. Everyone needs someone to help him grow, and that we have to realize that it's not someone putting you down when they try to help you grow. If you take a raw diamond off a mountain, it's not usable. You take the diamond, you got to cut it down, you got to make it nice, and only then can you put it in the ring. So when we learn and when we sometimes hear things perhaps that we're like, oh, I didn't know that, and we get all defensive, the answer is we're a diamond, and we're getting chiseled, and we're getting cut into the right size. So obviously it has to be done in the right way, it has to be done nicely, not with angry hate emails and screaming at people. But sometimes it's a little bit of a different perspective that we could take when we hear something that sometimes irks us. Realize you're a diamond and you're just being chiseled. And even when you chisel, it hurts a little bit. But that's the way to grow. That's the way to become someone great. And I think we all this week witnessed this. We all joined Kemat Olel. You're part of us, whether you're a part of the Kinyan or not. We all joined a new shir, a new chabura. I think if we sat here last week and we said, yeah, we're going to make a Gemara shir, most of the people would have laughed. At best, someone behind my back would have laughed and said, Rabbi, you're crazy. What are you thinking? You're doing Gemara shir? What? Maybe there's a Gemara shir? No. And then, we're going to do a chazara and the people are going to actually be into it. And then they're going to be writing in Gemaras like, yeah, I know that there's this thing in the world called Kinyan Masechta, but we're different, we're special, we're very special, we're really good diamonds, we don't need that. But sometimes we allow other people to chisel us. And I'll be honest, this wasn't my idea. It came from someone greater than myself, as I mentioned at the launch, and he got it. What happened, again, I'll just repeat very quickly. Rabbi Elvin told me to do it. Where did Rabbi Elvin get this from? Am I getting chair in the mirror for 30 years? What sheikh is to Kinyan Masechta? Because he was asked to speak at their event. He doesn't like doing these things, so who did he call? His Rebbe, which you see, by the way, Klal Yisrael is all about Messiah. And as soon as, and this is an important lesson, as soon as someone loses his Messiah, as soon as that Rebbe doesn't have a Rebbe, stop going to him. He's not part of Klal Yisrael anymore. I don't want to sound extreme, but as soon as one doesn't have a Rebbe, so you ask, who's Rav Chaim Kanievsky's Rebbe? So, Rav Chaim now is Nifter, but we all know stories of Rav Chaim and Rav Elyashiv. They used to get together and discuss things. Why? Rav Chaim and Rav Elyashiv, what are you talking about? Yitzchak Zilberstein is going to Rav Chaim. What are you doing? The answer is everyone always needs a Rebbe. So what did Rav Elvin do? He went to his Rebbe. He called him Rav Brudny. And Rav Brudny told him, yes, you should get involved, and this is an amazing program, etc. So when he told it to me, I was a little bit hesitant, and I was I was that diamond that felt a little bit uncomfortable, being chiseled a little bit, started Gemara shir with the Chevra. Okay, so we went through the motions, and we met with him, and we spoke to him, and you listen, and you let yourself be chiseled. And what comes out? Comes out as an Am Segula v'Yusem Li Segula Mikol Amim. Absolutely amazing. So that's detail number one, and really everything we're going to talk about tonight is going to all be about Torah and all be about realizing who we are. So there was a beautiful mashal I heard. I didn't hear it. I read it in a sefer, and then I subsequently read it in my notes that there was a sale, a auction, and they're auctioning off a business, and different wealthy people are throwing in bids and throwing in another bid, and it's going higher and higher, and each wealthy person, it's a profitable business, and they want to buy the business. And then, out of the blues, comes some guy who people are wondering, what's he doing here? He's not wealthy at all. He throws in a bid beyond everyone else. Boom, he wins the sale. And everyone's murmuring, what's this guy? He's a fraud. What's he doing? Get him out of here. And they call him up to the front, and he gets on the mic, and he asks for quiet. And They all start screaming, you're a fraud, you're a this, you don't have the money. And he says, I want to let everyone know, it's true, I don't have the money. And they start screaming again, I told you he's a fraud, get him out of here. And he says, 1 second, I don't have the money. But outside this auction house are another 20, 30 small business owners like myself. And we all got together, pulled our funds, and we're collectively buying this enterprise. And they bang the gavel, sold, and he walks out a happy and wealthy man with an incredible acquisition. So there's a sefer called Eitzer Mishalem, and they quote from someone by the name of Gavriel Margolis, an absolutely incredible ha'ara, that Moshe Rabbeinu comes to the Ziknei Ha'am, he comes to the elders, and he tells the elders all about this Torah that they're about to get. And what happens next? Vayanu Kol Ha'am, the entire nation answers, Yachtav, together. And what do they say? The famous words, Na'aseh v'nishma. So he explained what happened here is the simple people like ourselves see the Gadol Adar Moshe Rabbeinu going over to the elders, going over to the Rabbanim, going over to the Zikanim, and telling them about Matan Torah. And all the simple people are standing saying, what about us? We want this incredible item. So what do? They all got together, Yachtov. They all pooled their funds. And then they went to Moshe Rabbeinu as a unit, as a group. And then they said, Na'aseh v'nishma. And then they also received this incredible acquisition called the Torah. Again, what's the same exact nimshal? By yourself, by ourselves, we're very small. We cannot do much. And that's an important lesson. We have to realize we can't do anything ourselves. But as a group, as a chabura, as a community, as a shul, then our power is absolutely infinite. So how great is our power? How great really is our power? Okay, Torah is great. Torah is amazing. Anyone that will read the Dvar Torah that I wrote for Shabbos will see how the Maral, I try not to say what I wrote and not to whatever, but just to give you a little glimpse. The Maral says, why was everyone healed at Ma'amad Har Sinai? The blind could see, the lame could walk. So I think we all believe, what's the reason? The reason is the power of Matan Torah. The Maral says that's not the reason. The Maral says that the Devekas connecting to the Torah heals you as a person. The connection. So at Matan Torah was the highest level connection possible, so then even the blind could see and even the lame could walk. But you see from the words of the Maral that at every level of connection to the Torah, what does the Torah do for you as a person? It heals you. Whether it heals you physically, whether it heals you emotionally. And the stories, again, when you talk about Torah and you get involved in a Torah project, it doesn't make sense. Tell a guy, I'm leaving my house right now, I'm turning off whatever I'm watching, I'm going to a little garage somewhere, we're going to get together, a bunch of people, we're going to read some ancient text, and I'll be back in 25 minutes. Okay. So what does the guy assume? You're going to come back, some angry, disgruntled, you got to sit there and decipher something. Tell him, I don't even know the language. It's written in old Aramaic, and there's going to be a rabbi there, and he's going to explain it to us. And then you explain to him, and you know what? And we're trying to learn the language, so we write in the words. And the guy's like, okay, you have your fun. I'll continue watching, and I'll see you come back. And you come back into the house, and the guy sees you walking with a smile, all happy. He says, didn't you tell me you're going to decipher some ancient text? Why are you so happy? You look like you just came back from who knows where. What's the answer? The answer is that every little bit of devikos, of connecting to the Torah, at every level, it heals you as a person. And the first step of healing a person is, it makes you a person. It makes you feel like you did something. And I think the little bit that you taste, you want to adopt more. And then we can slowly understand, like we heard, I don't want to call him a simple Jew, this Rav Lipa, I don't want to say his last name. You hear this guy talking, and I think I told everyone afterwards, it sounded like he was our Rebbeim from high school giving a Musar Shmuz. This guy's talking how he loves learning, how he has a Gemara next to him in the car, how he's going to weddings and learning, and we're all sitting there being like, this guy's a little bit extreme. If you don't see his face and you just hear the audio, you think big long white beard, fiery, screaming, and all the kids sitting there saying, okay, But that's what happens. It says the Maral, every bit of dvekas, every little bit of connection to something which is infinite, which is in essence God Himself. HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'oraisa is chadu. So what does it mean it heals you? Because you're touching Hashem. You're touching godliness. And of course, that's going to elevate you as a person. And with that, we'll call that Hakdama. Let's spend a few minutes learning the wonderful words of the Ar HaChaim HaKadosh. The first reason to learn this is because it's the Ar HaChaim HaKadosh, and he's going to talk about learning Torah. The second reason is this was one of the other, there's another paper over there. This is one of the other ideas that we were thinking of doing as a schos, Ilin Neshama from Menachem Mendel and Yosef Yitzvah. Sometimes, you have to let things percolate, we like to call it. It bubbles, and you're not sure what to do, and it's an important lesson. You don't just dive in. You dive in, you fall flat in your face. I think we spoke about this one Friday night in shul, right? We spoke about kol haschales kashes. But it wasn't kasha, it was great. So we spoke, I don't remember who he said it from. He was one of the great Bali Machshava, that it's only kol haschales kashes if you don't prepare properly. But if you have all the preparations, then when you get to the haschala, it's not kasha anymore. Because you did all the kasha, you did everything, and now you're there, it's not kasha anymore. Now you can just dive straight in, which I think is what we saw. But let's learn a few lines of Ar HaChaim.
You can define the word retinue?
This is where are you? I didn't write this English. This English is straight from Sefaria. I take no credit. I hope it's they're usually pretty accurate. All I did was I just broke it into frames. Vatem tiuli mamleches kayanim v'goy kadosh. So this is the next pasuk. We spoke about being Am Segula. That's the first pasuk, that we're a treasure nation, we're a diamond. The pasuk continues, and Hashem says, and you should be to me a mamleches of kayanim v'goy kadosh, and a holy nation. Ela advarim eshetedaber al bnei Yisrael. Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, tell Klal Yisrael this. Says the Ar HaChaim, it's a year to picking up in the middle of a piece, because he begins and he says, you have to know what is the reason it says va'atem. There's an extra va'atem in here. Coming in. Let's open the door for him. I don't know what it is. Va'atem. What's the extra va'atem? Oh, Shalom Ar HaChaim, there's a chair. Says the Ar HaChaim, O year to Leimer, another way of explaining lahem. Ki me'ata, you heim bebachinas pamalya shamala. Why does Hashem, in middle of everywhere, say va'atem, and you? Well, what's this extra va'atem? Says the Ar HaChaim that Klal Yisrael is hearing from Hashem right now. They're a completely new reality. They're going to be included. We are going to be included in the Pamalya Shel Maila. What's the Pamalya Shel Maila? That is Hashem's celestial retinue. God's incredible chariot. Hashem's army in heaven. We're a part of that. And explains the Ar HaChaim. Ki Lamaila, because above in heaven, Yesh Lahadain Misharsav. Hashem has servants. Umishamshim, and those that serve him, Lefanav, Bimarim up high. Ulahem Yikra Kayhanim. So up in heaven, there are these entities that are called Kohanim that are serving Hashem. Gam, as well. Yesh Lefanav Seva. There's also an army, Rav, a great army, Hanikra Kadosh, that is called holy. Tersev Echad Kadosh. Va'amar, and another Hashem, Ki Oisem Yasa Hashem b'makim Kohanim u'Kadeshim El Yoinim. As the Pasuk is teaching us, that there's these things called Kohanim in heaven. Then there's these things called a Tzva Rav, there's a Kadosh in heaven. V'kach, and he says another raya to this, when Hashem tells us to build a Mishkan, ubachar mimenu kohanim, and Hashem says to choose kohanim, v'sivalanu v'yisem kedoshim, and Hashem tells the kohanim to be holy. So the kohanim, the kedoshim, are also these celestial beings, these retinues, I don't know if you're allowed to say that in the plural, I don't know what the word means, that are serving Hashem. Ukefi, and here's the punchline. Ukefi ze'amru v'atem, and this is why the pasuk is v'atem chayzer adav l'klal Yisrael. It's going back on all of Klal Yisrael. V'hotzrich leimar tevas v'atem. It has to say this extra word. L'bal yichashvu. You know what you shouldn't think? Each of us should never think ki devarav le'em ala asid. When will we be called kadosh? When will we be part of Hashem's incredible heavenly chariots and his heavenly malachim? When are we going to have that status? You know what we would think? Allah salavai. In the future, Ba'alisa Nefesh, our souls, Acher Haparda Me'akov, after one is nifter, his soul goes up into heaven. Yasig Aruchani is Mailas Hasadurai. So then the soul goes where? Back to the Kisei HaKavod, and the soul becomes part of Hashem's celestial, part of Hashem's Pamal Yoshal Maila. That's what you would think. Says the pasuk, teaches the Ar HaChaim, Avul B'chayim. What about while you're alive? You think us, mere Jews, mere mortals, we are at the ability to be part of Hashem's incredible Pamal Yishamayla? That's impossible. Lezeh Omar, that's why the pasuk says, Va'atem, Pirush, Atem ba'atzmachem. You by yourself, Ba'alei Goya, this nation, Tasigu Malazu. So what are we reaching? We're reaching the level of a Pamalia Shamayla. And he concludes and he says, Umatzinu shesadikim asigu malazu. Sadikim indeed achieve this level. Shenikraim malachim u'kedoshim. We refer to as sadikim as malachim and kedoshim. And this is the clincher. Ki be'amsios ha-Torah via the medium of the Torah tikadel. One becomes great. V'ta'aleh, and he becomes higher. Ma'alos ha'adam. It raises up the person. Ad ein kates. We become so high and lofty via learning the Torah. Lemala meha malachim. We become greater than the malachim themselves. Zelacha, so this is the ois ki Hashem bachar liyos ma'ilas l'kedushas makim kevoidei am Yisrael. Hashem chose us alamata kim lamalim ki ma'ilim b'kodesh. So what do we learn from here? What is the Am Segula? What are the diamonds that we are that are being chiseled? What is the Torah that we are being hisdavek, we're connecting to and allowing it to heal us? You know what it's doing for us? It's raising us on this world, not after we're nifter. Of course, after we're nifter, our neshama is going to go up and our neshama is going to hang out in the Kisei HaKavod. Of course, Lasid Lavai, when Mashiach's going to come. Of course, we're going to be sitting there around Hashem and learning, of course. But says the Arachayim, Va'atem, and you, Klal Yisrael, now that you're alive, once you're connected to the Torah, you're raised up, Limala Me'am Melachim, you're above an angel, part of the Pamalia Shalmaila, part of Hashem's celestial, Hashem's retinue, Hashem's incredible malachim, etc. And really, this was a very fitting week, to start a shir. I don't think we cheshbon that when we thought about it, that it's Parshas Yisro, and it's Matan Torah, and it's Kabbalah Torah, and it happened to be my birthday also. Things happen, Baruch Hashem. It's called Siyata D'Shmaya. Hashem allows everything to fall into the right place. But what we see something incredible. We see what happens when we connect to the Torah a little bit. What happens? What happens is it starts to heal us as a person. It starts to raise us up as a person. And it starts to allow us to be part of this Pamalia Shamayla. It allows us to be this Am Segula, this diamond. It needs to be chiseled. It's not always easy. Let's be honest. Sometimes you don't want to get out of bed. Sometimes you don't want to go to the shir. Sometimes you don't want to open the Gemara. And sometimes you see someone post Chazar and you're like, leave me alone. Why did I look at my phone right now? Now I feel guilty that I should pick up my Gemara and learn for 2 minutes. Why? I don't want to. I don't want to. Remember, we're that beautiful diamond. And the diamond sometimes needs to be chiseled a little bit. And chiseling it isn't easy. But each time we overcome, what are we doing? We're raising ourselves up closer and closer to the Pamalia Shamayla, becoming a little bit more than Malachim. And of course, why is it more than Malachim, as we've learned? Because Malachim can't get higher. Malachim are where they are. They are oimed. Whereas we as human beings, we as Klal Yisrael, we are Ma'aleh, we are Hoylech. We get greater and greater. So, B'siyata D'Shmaya, we all know that each week's Parsha is not just reading about what happened, but rather it reoccurs each week. That Amir Tashem in Shul this week, it's another Kabbalah Satayra. It happens again. So us, as a tzibur, as we started, that as one unit, we have no power. That one little business owner, he can't buy the big business. But all the little business owners together, all the little individuals, everyone with their extra minute, it pushes the next guy. And it pushes the next guy. And one guy goes to the shir and he tells the other guy, by the way, it's really not so bad. The guy's like, come on, be serious. What are they paying you to go? Come on. No, really? Okay, they give us some sushi, but it's 50 minutes. Yeah, but it's Gemara, oh my God. No, it's not so bad. And yeah. So what happens? That's a little person that pushes another little person. One little fire that connects to another little fire that slowly raises it up to higher than Malachim. So the bracha that we end with is that B'siyata D'Shmaya, as we're Mekabel the Torah again, it should just be the beginning. And the more that we become higher, the more that we become greater, the more that we become chiseled, the more that as a group we become this wealthy business owner, wealthier than the Malachim themselves, Chavra.